Hi everyone, today I'll be shooting a video from the garage. Weather's not that great today, but I thought I'd show you some options regarding camp, cooking, and the various options, the heating, what types of fire or grill or gas am I looking at. So hope you enjoy it. Leave some comments in the section if you have other options that you use, or if you have any comments on the different types of camp cooking and the heat source compared to what I'm presenting here today. So hope you enjoy it. Let's look at some of the options for me. So I've laid out a couple of options here on the table. We've got some, let's say, fire pit varieties here. I'll show you how they look when they're assembled. But there's a big fire pit. I can already tell you it's large, heavy, and expensive. So that's a lot of the cons summed up right there. We have, going down a size, we've got a smaller version of a fire pit and grill. Also got an aluminum stove, wood stove. I'm going to show you that, flat backed. And then we have options for supporting, cooking on the fire, just having some support there. I've got the cob grill, and I've got a Jetboil, or this is a copy, but it's the same principle. It's the Jetboil. And of course we also have at the rear of the Teardrop, you can see it sticking out there, these are the 2-burner propane stove that's on the Teardrop. So I thought I'd start with the simplest of the alternatives, both in weight, packaging, and the amount of work to set up and start cooking. It's obviously the Jetboil. There's an even simpler version of, well, what about just a fire? But yes, you do have to get that fire started. So this is much easier, simpler. It impacts the environment a lot less. It doesn't leave any trace behind. But it's also not very good at doing more than just boiling water for your freeze-dried food or coffee or tea, soups, whatever. But it does do that extraordinarily well. So let me just set this up for you, and you can see what this looks like assembled. So all this is actually inside the Jetboil. This is a fire maple, as I said. It's basically the same thing. Your small gas container, this one's a little bit bigger, but your small gas container, the burner itself, lid, everything fits inside the same packaging in this bag, and that's really a nice thing. It's very compact, very portable, and a nice bit of engineering. So you can see it can be configured two ways. Right now it's got the adapter on where you can use a skillet or put a pan on top and heat things, or you can simply remove this and the entire water cooker just attaches actually to the bottom, to the frame, and has a solid connection so that you can boil water very efficiently with a lid and a lockable handle. So it's a pretty neat design. There's a regulator on the side so that you can adjust the heat, and it's very efficient, especially in windy conditions, etc. So apart from the Jetboil and the propane burners on the back of the Teardrop, you can see there, all the other options I have are about fire or grilling in some form, and then I thought I'd start, you could just cook on the fire, that's nice, but it's sometimes tricky to have things balanced, supported for pots or pans, etc. So we have something here which is a very simple, grill to put on a fire, compact, etc. So let me show you how this works. Looks like this. It's a aluminum lightweight thing which contains a grill, and let me just assemble it and I'll show you guys what it looks like. Right, so that's what this looks like when it's assembled. A lot of loose parts and it's a little bit fiddly to get assembled, but once you have done so, it's pretty sturdy actually, and it looks a little flimsy, but it's okay. Don't put too heavy stuff on there. But the nice thing is you can use this with your fire, and you can get this grill then, you know, those 10-15 centimeters off the ground, which helps a lot, and can also help you regulate things and maybe keep things simmering for a while without worrying if the fire's going to collapse and you have to constantly keep looking after the kettle or the skillet. So it's an interesting thing to have in your inventory. And next I'm showing you the Cobb grill, which is already assembled. And it's very easy to understand. It uses this coconut thing for charcoal. You can use regular, but there's a special place inside it where these ready-made bits of charcoal fit this grill. And the reason why I'm bringing it is it's something we had when we were out boating. The grill itself does not get warm on the outside. So let me just show you. The construction of this is so that you can actually carry this while it's hot. The heat dissipates, and that makes it really interesting for camping. You know, if there's bad weather, starts raining, you want to move, you can actually pick up the barbecue while hot and just move it over to somewhere else. And if you have an emergency, you have to actually leave the campground, you can actually, you know, if you just take care of ventilation, you can actually pick this up, put it somewhere in the car, make sure it doesn't, you know, tip over, but actually it's an interesting thing, and it doesn't leave any marks on the ground. It's very simple. This one's been used a lot, rusty grill cover, but here I'll show you there's a spot there which fits these special types of charcoal that you can buy for them, and it's very efficient. But as you can see, it's pretty big. You don't really want to lug this around with you. It takes a lot of space, and since it's round, it's actually not very practical in terms of how much cooking space you get on the grill. Something to consider. But it's a really good product. There are gas, you know, propane versions of this. There's a smaller and larger and oval sizes, and tons of accessories for this product. So, and you can get it all over the world. So that's definitely an option. And also you can put water in it to actually you know, damp cook, steam cook stuff inside. So you have a lot of options. Now I want to show you these three different flat grills or wood stoves or whatever you, fire pits, whatever you want to call them. The first one I'm going to start with is one called Mekken. It's a Norwegian patent. It's an aluminum style wood stove, and there are tons of those on eBay and Amazon, etc. This one though is really rugged and solid, and has a very different construction from a lot of these simpler ones that you can find online. So let me assemble this one and I'll show you what it looks like. So here you have the Mekken oven assembled. It's a pretty neat design. You can see, you know, you put your pot or pan up there, and you feed the wood through here, and there's plenty of ventilation because of this patented, you know, way of leaving the airflow up there, so that it kind of comes up like a chimney towards this area. So pretty neat. Also, you can mount this thing instead. You know, it goes in there so that, you know, you would have this entire thing to cook on for bigger plates, etc. And also a neat part of this design that it's got a something I call a trunk connector. So basically, if you have a trunk of a tree, you can just put this string around the tree on either side, and basically this construction right here is a support stand which gives you a mount for the oven on a tree. So the trunk is like that. You put that against the trunk, and then these slot into the rear of the oven so that you can actually mount this oven at a certain height on a tree trunk, which is a cool thing, really. Makes a nice, that helps when you're cooking. Nobody really likes cooking from the ground. So cool design, neat little wood burning stove called Mekken. Next one I thought I'd show you is the BBQ. It's a Norwegian design, this one too. There are, tons of these. It's a very lightweight aluminum miniature fire pit, which you can also use as a grill. So let me show you how this thing looks assembled. And there you can see this one, the BBQ assembled. It comes with this piece of protective foil, which you just place under the grill so it doesn't leave any burn marks on the lawn or anything like that, and also can catch some of the bits falling off when your fire is going. And you can see it's got a grill on top. You can remove this if you want to use it as a fire pit. It has a small grit on the bottom there to give some airflow, and all in all, actually for its size, a really interesting thing. It's so lightweight, and still I've used this quite a lot. It does get a little deformed when it's hot, but it tends to cool off and actually return to the same shape. There's also some ventilation option here on the side, but all in all, it doesn't take a lot of space. Comes in that little bag, weighs next to nothing. But it is, not that solid, doesn't take big pieces of firewood, so it's a little bit limited as well. But then again, you can't really get everything in one package. So that's the BBQ lightweight, small fire pit and grill. And here we have the final thing I'd want to show you. It's the largest fire pit. This one's from Camping Moon. It's the MT045. So it's the large one. There is an extra large and a small, but this one is plenty big. And as you can see, it's huge. It's heavy, and it's very, very expensive. Since it's so heavy, probably that's why it's so expensive outside of China, where this is made. There are other varieties of this on the market as well. Snow Peak definitely has, a very, very similar one that Drifta in Australia and others are using, and there's a Stockton version which is pretty similar to this. But anyways, it's a quality product, and I'll show you what this one looks like assembled. Alright, and here is what the final assembled fire pit looks like. As you can see, it's huge. It's about 46 centimeters across, and it's about 35 or something centimeters high. And now with the grill on it with 3 different heights, it's a serious construction, and it's rugged. This thing is high grade stainless steel, and there's a cast iron plate in the bottom there for your coals, or for getting ventilation through the bottom when using this in the campground. This is really, and you can see it's fixed using those clips to the bottom plates, also leaving no traces on the ground and protecting it. So this, all in all, really, really good product. Looks amazing. I've tried similar versions, looking forward to testing this one even more, but there are tons of reviews on this as well. This is the MT045. It is heavy and expensive compared to all the other options, so you really have to consider if you want to lug this thing around. But if you do, it's going to be a very valuable addition to the campsite. So there you have it. I've shown you some of the options available for camp cooking, and let me just return to summarize a little bit about all of this, because one benefit, of course, is that always when lugging the Teardrop with me, I always have the 2-burner stove in the rear. But campfires are also very cozy, so it's always nice to cook by the fireplace. But things need to be practical as well. We don't want to leave traces behind necessarily, so looking at these options, you really need to consider what's best for you, what's going to work out fine. And let me just conclude about all these options, getting back to the pros and cons. So let's look at them all again. We've got them here all laid out on the table. So let's start with the cob. I'm not actually using the cob much anymore. It's a little bit too big to haul around, and the limited cooking space means it's actually not possible to cook a lot of food simultaneously on it. Plus, the construction with the kind of tricky types of charcoal means that you can't really use it also as a fireplace. Or a fire pit, so it's really not that multi-purpose, so it tends to be left behind. The Jetboil, on the other hand, is always there. It's so light, compact, and easy to haul along that I use this to boil water, or if I have some freeze-dried stuff, and I even use it when I go camping, without the Teardrop or the car. It's so easy to lug in the backpack, weighs next to nothing. And it has piezo ignition, so you don't need matches and to try to get a lighted fire flame when it's windy. Just push the buttons and it's really nice. The grill for the fire also comes with me all the time when camping, because it's so easy to use when there's just a fire on the ground. I don't tend to use it that often, but it's light, takes up next to nothing in terms of space, so it's always there as an option. The Meccan stove, the aluminum stove here, I put in the back of the Teardrop and always bring with me as well. If there's a fire, I like to can combine the campfire and actually cooking or boiling something on the small stove. It's a little bit it's a little bit more stable than just cooking on a fire, and also the construction means it's much more efficient than just putting a pot on the fire. It actually kind of chimneys that heat just like the Jetboil does actually, but from wood. So that also comes with me. What about then the difference between these two fire pits? Well, the barbecue one, the small one here, this design is flimsy, but it's very, very compact. So the small fire pit is a little bit flimsy. It doesn't take a lot of large pieces of firewood, etc. But it's so compact and lightweight. You just can put it anywhere in the car. So this also comes with me or in the Teardrop all the time. The large fire pit is now going to be part of all the trips that I take with the Teardrop, because this is so much more versatile. So even though it's huge, expensive, heavy, it does pack flat into that bag I showed you, and the versatility of it being large enough fire pit so that I don't have to make a fire on the ground, leaving no trace behind. Also with a much bigger grill and the ability to really cook on this and regulate the heat with the height of the grill above the fire makes this a really great product that is going to be a fixed part of the the travel gear going forward. But of course, there's also, as I've been mentioning, there's the fixed 2-burner stove on the back of the Teardrop as well. So, I mean, lots of options. But at least, that brings the fun back into camping and cooking, that you have a lot of options. So as long as weight and size doesn't become too much of a hindrance, bring along the various options. And I hope this was useful. As I said, please do share, make some comments if you have feedback or any opinions on the various types of things to cook on in camp, when camping with your caravan or with your car, overlanding, etc. Thanks.